We have School Board Trustee Christopher Richardson. Mr. Richardson, welcome. I understand you have submitted a written copy as well, so you have 5 minutes. And if you have any questions after, and so stay at the podium, I'll let you know when you come.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor and Council, I'm very pleased on behalf of the Vancouver School Board to speak to you today. As a partner of the City of Vancouver, Vancouver Board of Education recognizes that the City has both the authority and the responsibility to enact measures to ensure that business is conducted appropriately in the context of health, safety, and the public interest. As a primary provider of education to children and youth in the City, the Board of Education has a responsibility to ensure that the safety and educational needs of those youth are taken into account whenever decisions are made that may affect them. Accordingly, the Board would be opposed to any action that could result in easier access to marijuana by children and youth, and request that measures be put in place that would mitigate that possibility. Although there are a variety of opinions about the impact of use of marijuana on adults, there is substantial and accepted medical evidence to indicate the use of marijuana by adolescents has significant and far-reaching harmful effects. Unfortunately, the recent proliferation of marijuana dispensaries, combined with inaccurate and harmful information available through the media, has normalized the idea for many of our youth that marijuana use by youth is legal, routine, socially acceptable, and not harmful. We disagree. And we provide you with 2 links, 2 references, and some details in terms of recent studies. One in the New England Journal of Medicine, dated June 2014, and one in Pediatrics, the official journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics, January of 2015, that give detail in terms of the specific impact upon youth. This information is obtained by 2 of the most highly regarded scientific medical journals in the medical community, providing clear evidence that marijuana use amongst adolescents is indeed harmful. As a result, the Board has concerns about the recent proliferation of marijuana dispensaries that have appeared in the City over the past 2 years. Some of these establishments are in close proximity to schools. We do not dispute that despite the best efforts of parents, school and district staff, and the support of community partners, such as the VPD and the Vancouver Coastal Health, youth choose and are able to access marijuana in a number of ways. We strongly believe, however, that the answer to this problem is not to set up marijuana outlets near our schools. Unless very firm boundaries are set in place and enforced strictly, we have significant concerns that these outlets could easily result in increased use of marijuana by youth in this city. Based upon these concerns, we have 6 recommendations that we have. The Board would ask that a portion of any licensing fee be designated for educational purposes and youth addiction support services. And I go on to explain there, but given the time, my staff said there was no limit, so I cut this back. Secondly, that the Board would request that whatever the bylaw amendments are that are put in place, that they be strictly enforced, particularly when they are initially enacted. The Board would request that the City consider increasing the distance between licensed establishments and schools from the proposed 300 meters to a distance of 500 meters, and I believe that's as the crow flies. 4, that the Board would request that advertising directed at minors, either directly or indirectly, be strictly prohibited in all areas in and around the businesses, and that a zone be established prohibiting that attraction. 5, the Board would request that despite the very recent Supreme Court ruling this morning, enabling sales in forms of medical marijuana other than in dried product and oils, the City consider not allowing other products such as marijuana cookies and candies, as they may be more attractive to youth. And 6, that it is assumed that all establishments, including those currently in existence, will be subject to any and all new rules contained in the proposed bylaw amendments. The Board understands and appreciates that the City has a responsibility to consider the views of all citizens, many of whom will hold a variety of views on the subject of marijuana use. The Board is not making a broad statement on the use of this drug. We do, however, wish to make it very clear that the use of marijuana by youth is illegal, medically harmful, and very likely to create barriers to life success. We therefore ask that you carefully consider the impact of any bylaw amendments on this particular group of citizens before making any decision that will negatively impact the current youth and future adult citizens of the city of Vancouver. Thank you.
Well, just for clarity, are you saying you are opposed or in favor of the bylaws?
Certainly, I think we're in favor of the bylaws with the provisos that we've listed there, the 6 provisos.
Thank you for that. First up, you have some questions for Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thanks so much, Mr. Richardson, for coming. Very much appreciate the input of the Vancouver School Board and your presence here. My first question has to do with the licensing, a portion of the licensing fees going to education. Dr. Patricia Daly, the Chief Medical Officer of Vancouver Coastal Health, did make the same request of us. Now, are you seeing this as, or is the PSB seeing this as something where a portion would go to you in the Vancouver School Board to use for educational programs, and also to Vancouver Coastal Health for, I think the treatment facilities and addiction treatment was one element that we asked for too. Do you see it? I'm a little, I think your word is fairly clear, but it does seem through the support of our community partners. So are you maybe suggesting that all of the money goes through Vancouver Coastal Health?
Well, at the present time, the Vancouver School Board, and for many years, has in collaboration utilizing funds that we provide through our budget, operating budget, and also monies that come directly from Vancouver Coastal Health, that we do provide these very services in the schools. So we have programs and we have staff that are able to engage youth on a preventative basis, educational basis, but also those in crisis. So I would say that, and at this point, frankly, I would defer to staff on how that collaboration would work. You speak of services that may, that Coastal may be providing in terms of that's something that they would do alone, but this particular request is the collaboration in terms of education that we're already doing with them, and it would be to complement those existing funding sources.
Great. Okay, that's clear. It's to both in a collaborative effort.
Certainly.
Right. Thanks. My second question has to do with the fact that the recommendations in the report are that there would be no marijuana dispensary within 300 meters of a school, and I'm wondering if that's appropriate from your point of view.
Well, our staff,
You said 500.
we're saying 500 meters. We do acknowledge here that that 300 meters does seem to be the distance that is used in several other jurisdictions. But upon debate, upon discussion with staff and the trustees, that we felt that we would ask that you consider increasing that to 500 meters.
Okay, that's based on the school board's consideration, your staff consideration. Is it that the 500 meters is?
Well, as it states there, that I believe that 300 meters is very relatively short distance in terms of between schools and businesses, in terms of, and it's in terms of a judgment in terms of what is enough to be discouraging of that. I leave that up to your staff. I appreciate that. I believe there are other types of establishments that I believe liquor establishments is not a 300 meters. So that we're suggesting a further distance, and we because of the nature of it, but that's for you to consider.
All right. Okay. I'm just wondering if there was any